What's up, guys? Mikey in the building. Hope you guys had a good day today. We're definitely in a hotter cycle right now. Some strong market conditions for some names. Definitely after we had this insane NUKK run, it definitely triggered into how things started running and how I viewed the market, right? Um, some late night preps, studying previous structures, a lot of chart paints and structures, and then diving into how hollow and drug kind of ran, and then how things ran after those names ran. It's super important. And yeah, really punched the gas with size and played things pretty aggressive pre-market, and then even into open. I'll kind of go over my day and the thought process of a lot of things. This is definitely a different type of trading than your normal, risk tolerance and how to size into things, right? When things kind of run 1,000%, it definitely sets off things where there's more momentum into things, whether it's a lot more retail traders smacking things, or other MMs running things up to dilute stocks, right? Um, my morning right away, I was up like 22.4 on the day, right away from CGTX. I actually played this both ways, and I did play LITM. I'll go over this CGTX. So again, it's important. I'm on the rig super early, 0500. I did not start trading until 7. So, all right, because I got swab still. So knowing, going off my other video, the video that I talked about, small cap gap fill recap, right? That's another good video. A lot of good details in that one. I'm looking for gap fills, right? So when things set off, right, and especially after a nice hot cycle or a hot runner, right, I'm looking for that particular gap fill. Now, you see this daily right here, this filled the gap to the downside. This is also a nice H.C. Wainwright play, too. So it's pretty nice to know who's on this to run it up just to dilute, and things like that. But it's super important. I want to play this gap fill to the upside. All right. So in this particular setup, when this was actually setting up and soaking above some key levels at a lower percent gap fill, just under 50%, taps 50%. All right. Now I'm looking for a nice gap fill. To me, this is a nice sideways beaten down daily. There is some, highs right here at 83, super important. The fact that they swipe that right here and then pull back into this base clear level right here was really great. Book wise, right? Book wise, I did like to see this controlled offer. They actually had it right here, and this chart just trades sideways. I did not get in here right away. I just missed that, and that's fine. I was waiting just to see how things were reacting since this was so fresh. However, this is where I actually started soaking, and I think this is important too to see right here, because they did try to control this, but there was buyers willing to smack through these offers again. All right, and there was clear support at 70s. All right, I actually smacked back into 70s as I started to soak this, and then once these bidders I saw start to stick, I started smacking right away. All right, this did set up a decent little flag down here too, to me, on that one, and this pulled back to like a breakdown zone pocket area for me. So I did play this very aggressive, and the reason why I even played this very aggressive too is because of how low and beaten down we were on the daily. All right. After that, things pretty much had to go. There's a couple of little signals right here, especially these little stuffs on the one. But book wise, we started to actually open up. Um, after this started to open up, there really wasn't a lot of offers or anything really holding this down. All right, to me that was super key. This actually pulled back to a previous area of interest too, where there was a high liquidity area, right? And started to swipe up again, and here too. So these two pullbacks were, to me, were very valid to keep me in the trade. And then look for that. There's a nice book flip that happened right here. Even saved this off another previous area, and this was a nice gap fill right here. All right, really nice gap fill. There's a small micro window gap on the daily. Definitely looking for the 200s. You know, when things heat up, especially in these pennies, I am looking for 200 EMA or SMA gap fills, especially in beating down sideways dailies on that one. Cool thing about this one is I actually played it both sides. I ended up taking that short after we filled it. For some reason, there was some locates on freaking TOS or Schwab, which was phenomenal. Once we started to run into the 200s, I put on a little starter, and then once this guy right here showed up, I slammed it and knew where my risk was. So that was great, because after that they just started to really sell off and selling all to the bids. There wasn't really any real appetite on here, and see, this right here to me was hidden when this started to try to bounce right here. Even though it got over here and even right here, you can just tell I had a real hard time getting back over 110s on there. So that was a nice short. I did get 20% off that short, which was great. Right before open, I did cover once we pulled back and started not to break down there. That was pretty much my target anyways for that short. Right back over here in this pivot, you know, this needed to really break down, but that didn't happen, and that's fine. I played super aggressive on the way up, and then shorted a little chunk down here on that one. LITM, this is another one, and this thing was a moneymaker all day. All right. Before I go over where I really made a lot of my profits, I did play this super aggressive down here again, particularly in this area right here. All right. Again, this was a super beaten down daily. 24 cents was this previous VWAP. And for those who really watch my videos, you guys can kind of see that I trade the same way, same style over and over again. The fact that this gapped up above that and pulled back over here was great. I did not catch these super low ads. I waited to see how this reaction was going to happen right here. All right, LITM2. Let's pull that book up. Another good book too, all day. Really all day on that one. This is where we started to curl. This is exactly where ads were right here again. Very similar to the CGTX situation where they remove that liquidity and they pull back into this pocket area, and then for some reason some really nice bidders showed up at 40s, and wow, did I just smacked a lot of this, you know, really smacked into some of the offers that they had right there. After this was just a continuation play and watching that level 2, because there was a lot of level 2 bids. All right. Another good spot right here too is this level right here, 50 cents holding before we actually started to break out again. All right. I did have a thesis on this one, because I did not trade this out of the open. My thesis on this one was to see this actually squeeze up and then potentially sell off. Definitely was wrong on that, because this ended up becoming a really amazing intraday runner and then closing up pretty high on the daily. But the soaks from here, even to right here, was 78%, and I sized into this pretty well on that one. So I got a really good return on both those plays going into open. I did do something a little crazy. I shorted QUBT out of the gates, thought maybe we would get it. A dump. Clearly that didn't happen. So when I took some short right there, I did short 5K, and then I caught a huge dump right away, and I saw it was holding up, so I covered right away. So I mean, I got a couple points on that short right there, pretty quick. So that was like another 5-figure trade. Don't recommend it. It's not something I do. It's not my niche, but I was kind of seeing if we were gonna top out and do a nice pullback. So we'll see. I have the book up. I had the book up for 3 days now on that one, so I'll be watching that one. That is just one of the trades, just to be transparent. It's not like my best trade, but all right, go back to LTIM. So after that, I mean, I was sitting pretty well already on the day, and then this pattern happened on LITM. When we started to actually curl right here, this pattern I treated completely different because of the amount of volume that started to come in. All right. And the fact that we weren't even gapped up that much now at that point, to me, still was a safe trade. I literally treated this pattern completely separate and soaked this. When we started to pull back, I started to soak, and then I started to soak. You know, I started to soak on pullbacks. I see the reaction, started to soak on pullbacks, and then I punched it. All right. I did not get faked out of this thing right here at all. At all. All right. Even this return right here on size for this type of name, 20 cents was another 40% for me. That's what I really focus on. I focus a lot on like 30% returns. Anything more than that is a blessing. And then I proceeded a couple more scalps. Then I kind of scalped it a few times in here. I didn't hold for this whole move. I started to just get into that. You know, I don't really like to just load sell on that. So, you know, I was very happy with the way I sized into this and got a really nice 40% return from this setup right here. And kind of that was where another big chunk of my profits came. You know, reviewing this chart, if I only held full size and caught that whole entire return, now we're talking about an 80% return, which would have been a lot better. But that's okay. Another one of my trades was PLRZ. This was not particular my setup. Shout out to JRET on this one. This has to do with understanding cycle and the slow floats and how they kind of trigger off one another. However, something I was paying attention to was how tight these lower highs were. Right, these are super tight lower highs. All right, the particular spot, even the reason why I even went long on this one was because of seeing the book reaction, was particularly right here where this big seller came in and got absorbed. Once this area started to hold up, this is where I started to smack into this level right here. And I only punched it a couple of times. I did not size into this, but I did hold for a really big return on this one, on that one too. So that was great. Other than that, when this thing unhalted, you know, it's very important to me to see these unhold levels really soak, reclaim and hold. So that was a nice continuation play on that one. So that was literally looking for a clear out on that one, and then after that, now we're sitting up here, so I really don't want to play this anymore. I only wish I sized into it. You know, shout out to my boy TK who actually did size into that and caught a crazy trade off that one. Let me see, going through my day again. Okay. Fortunately, I did not trade VRAR. That's okay. I did trade this AEMD later in the day. Particular right here. I did fumble it though. I will say that I was starting to get to a little sketched out about this, so I did size down, but I did have enough size to get a really nice, decent return. I'm not going to say it was crazy, but going back to gap fills. This should have definitely broken down. ARCA was on this one pretty heavy. On this one, the book helped, but watching ARCA shove bids, pull them, shove bids, and then rebid it was definitely a key trade for me on this one. Again, looking for those 200s on that. I did try to short it, but there was only only got filled like 11K, and then whatever. That's okay. OGEN. This one was a nice return. All right. I particularly waited for after hours to happen, and I actually soaked this setup right here and went in pretty heavy again. This one, I was looking for this window gap fill test. All right. I would have loved for this to fill to 200 and actually fill this window gap right here. That did not happen. But I had 44 nines on this one. From there to highs was 60%. That was such a sick return. That was another 5-figure trade on the afternoon for me on that one. Other than that, that's pretty much all I traded. I did try PRZO. Kind of bummer. Played this one out of the gates as well. I did try to size into this pretty big. They did have some decent bids on the book. Kind of show you thought process. I traded that one after hours yesterday too, which was cool. Which was really cool. Okay. All right. This one right here, full transparency. I went long because there wasn't a lot of selling pressure right out of the gates on this one. And then I started to buy these dips that pulled back into this pocket. All right. I did try to hold for a big move. I did start to de-risk up here. Because once we broke through this area, I thought this is a nice deep pocket hold. Once we started to curl through this, and we didn't break out, and there wasn't really a crazy bid game on this, and then the volume just wasn't super impressive. I mean, we even finished 55 mil. I needed to see steady increasing volume and trying to match a couple of these big days. It's like the reason why I traded Rhyme yesterday too, because this one is steady increasing volume on the day, where it had 1.1 bill, right? Looking for that huge break over 280 mil right there. Yeah, we had steady increasing volume. Was looking for a nice breakout. I do trade with size, so this one trading multiple times with 300K and then 480K, and catching a pretty nice return on that was pretty phenomenal. But that was it. PRZO, yeah, it didn't happen. It's okay. It's fine. Volume wise, that needed to go. It wasn't super impressive out of the gates, but still got a decent return, 20%. And then I stopped out, started to really stop out in this area down here. That was pretty much it for me. Those are my trades. Again, understanding cycle, being prepped, being ready in the morning. And then again, to me, it's just understanding gap fills. Even the past couple of days were really nice days because I was trading names that had fresher setups or fresher daily runs where it's the day one gaps that are filling the gap to the upside, rather than trying to trade names that already filled gaps and are opening up really high. There was good opportunity where stocks were opening up pretty low, and then we're filling that gap intraday. But all right, guys, much love. Peace out, Mikey.